Good afternoon. I'm Edward Bohan, Manager of Community Affairs for the New York Times. My colleague Diane McNulty could not be here today, so I have the honor of welcoming you to the Times Center and to this installment of the Arts Forum at the New York Times, produced in collaboration with the Alliance for the Arts. We at the Times are very proud of this series. When we launched it in 2007, we wanted to create a venue where cultural leaders could come together and network, share information, and best practices. But we also wanted to thank all of you, the arts professionals whose hard work, passion, and dedication enable the world-class cultural offerings that are so vital to our city to continue. I'm not a native New Yorker. I grew up in Sumter, South Carolina, where our only cultural output was a monument erected by the United Daughters of the Confederacy, commemorating their glorious war dead, and a billboard that read, "Welcome to Sumter, home of the universe's most beautiful women," in honor of our own Sean Weatherly, Miss Universe 1980. Now you may laugh, but she did go on to appear in Police Academy 3. Police Academy 3. So beauty pageants can lead to so much more. But I digress. I just want to let you know that I was thrilled when I moved to New York and was able to immerse myself in all of the museums, theater, dance, poetry, all of the cultural offerings that would not and could not happen without the people here in this room today. So I thank you. Now, before we hear more about the latest landmark in our cultural landscape, I'd like to introduce you to my fellow arts enthusiast and the president of the Alliance for the Arts, Joe Versace.
Thank you very much, Brian. Police Academy trivia for 100. We have some new information, so thank you for that. On behalf of my fellow trustees and from the staff of the Alliance, we thank you all for coming on what is a very beautiful Wednesday night, and a night that I'm sure is going to be transitioning many of you into a long holiday weekend, so thank you for joining us. This is our 28th Arts Forum. In the past 21 years, we've been working together with the New York Times Community Affairs Department and with the Department of Cultural Affairs to really put together programs that help the field hear about important new efforts, and some of which are rather monumental, like the one that you'll hear about tonight. As many of you may know, the Alliance's mission as an arts organization is advocacy, and that takes many forms. It appears in our research when we publish on impacts of the arts and the health of the industry. It appears as we build arts audiences through our flagship website, NYC Arts, and in convening opportunities like tonight. Helping our efforts is our President Emeritus, Randy Borscheit, who was the originator of the series, and our partners, Trudell McPherson Arts Consulting. So I know for many of you, September 11th will have a very personal memory and impact in your life. I know for me that I will never forget that very sunny September morning. And I also have had the pleasure and very personal experience of watching someone that I've known personally and professionally for close to a decade grow, lead, manage, persevere, and bring us in the world the most appropriate memorial. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch Joe and his team, and I have the most respect and admiration, Joe, for what you've done and for what you've accomplished. So with pleasure, I welcome another friend and colleague who has shepherded not only this monumental effort, but hundreds around the city, fostering arts and culture in the most unprecedented way, Commissioner Kate Levin.
Thank you, Joe. We clearly have a lot of extraordinary Joes in the room this evening. And thank you as well, Randy, and to the staff of Alliance for the Arts and to our colleagues at the New York Times. It is a pleasure for me to be here to introduce an extraordinary person who is in charge of an extraordinary task. Joe Daniels is going to provide an overview of the planning, development, and realization of the National September 11th Memorial and Museum, designed by the wonderful Michael Arad, who's also here. Mike. I get to work with a lot of high-quality Michaels as well. The development of the 9/11 Memorial Museum takes place at arguably the most complicated construction site on the planet. For starters, the memorial and museum rests on a transit hub with multiple rail lines, a state-of-the-art security area, a massive underground parking lot, infrastructure to support at least 4 office towers, and it's on a landfill, so one false move and you're in the Hudson River. The project also has extraordinarily passionate and diverse stakeholders, from family members whose loved ones perished on September 11th, to local residents, elected officials, property owners, the general public, and the world at large. No kidding, you may recall that more than 90 countries lost citizens on September 11th. As a memorial and museum project, it's also highly unusual inasmuch as most visitors for the first decades of its existence will in fact be experts on the subject matter and its significance, as most of them will have lived through the tragic events of that day. So many of the strategies and techniques that shape museums and historic sites simply aren't appropriate here. And yet another complicating factor from my point of view is that we live in a society with limited collective practice of grieving. So figuring out how to appropriately and effectively convey the range of facts, emotions, and issues associated with this event is, to put it mildly, exceedingly difficult. The goal above all is to create something deeply meaningful, resonant, and accessible, literally, figuratively, historically. And that, friends, is Joe Daniels' day job. Keep in mind that he has 74 days until the 10th anniversary of September 11th. And frankly, I can't imagine a better person to be undertaking this task. In the years that I've gotten to know and work with him on this project, I have consistently been awed and impressed by his intelligence, tenacity, compassion, sense of humor, and his deep ability to look for the best in people and always cultivate it, even in the midst of, shall we say, episodes that seem impossible at the time and always seem to involve huge amounts of money, parking spots, or trees. We couldn't be more fortunate that the person in charge of the day-to-day, minute-to-minute, second-to-second delivery of a project that really will redefine our city and our nation is Joe Daniels. So it's my extraordinary pleasure to welcome him to the stage.
On the day of September 11th, 2001.
On September 11th,
I was in Honolulu, Hawaii.
I was in Cairo, Egypt.
in college at